Have you ever wondered what the world would look like if we all just disappeared? Not in a flash of fire or a crash of thunder, but quietly, as if we just stepped out for a moment and never came back. Imagine, for a moment, the silence. The first thing you might notice is the sound, or rather, the lack of it. The constant hum of traffic, the distant wail of a siren, the chatter of a million conversations, all gone, replaced by the whisper of the wind through empty skyscrapers, a sound they were never designed to hear. In this silent world, nature wouldn't wait long to reclaim its territory. The process would start small, almost unnoticeable. A single dandelion pushing its way through a crack in the pavement, moss, soft and green, beginning to blanket the stone steps of a forgotten library. Ivy, with its tenacious grip, would be the vanguard, scaling the glass, and steel towers, its green tendrils probing for any weakness, any entry point to the world we left behind. Within a few years, our concrete jungles would start to look a little more like actual jungles. Tree saplings, carried by the wind or dropped by birds, would take root in the thin layer of soil that accumulates in gutters and on flat rooftops. Their roots, patient and persistent, would work their way into the very foundations of our buildings. A tiny crack in a wall becomes a fissure, then a gap. As a young birch tree reaches for the sunlight, its white bark, a stark contrast against weathered brick, the neat, orderly grid of our streets would begin to blur. Imagine standing in the middle of what was once a bustling avenue. Now, it's a green canyon. The asphalt is fractured, split open by the roots of poplars and oaks that line the street like a new, wilder kind of boulevard. Deer would wander where taxis once idled, their hooves clattering softly on the broken pavement. A family of foxes might make a den in the abandoned shell of a subway car, its graffiti-covered exterior now draped in flowering vines. The great coastal cities would face a different kind of reclamation. Without our seawalls and pumps, the ocean would gently, persistently begin to rise. Low-lying areas would become salt marshes, the skeletons of buildings poking out of the water like strange, angular trees. The rhythmic pulse of the tides would wash through the ground floors of office buildings, depositing sand and shells where carpets and desks used to be. Dunes, sculpted by the wind, would slowly swallow boulevards, burying streetlights and cars under mountains of golden sand. The iconic image of a pier would be transformed, its wooden planks rotted away, its pylons crusted with barnacles and seaweed, a haven for fish and crabs. And what about the rivers? Our rivers, once constrained by concrete channels and straightened for our convenience, would be set free. During the first major flood, they would jump their banks, carving new paths through the urban landscape. A downtown core could become a sprawling wetland, the reflective glass of skyscrapers mirroring a sky filled with waterfowl. Bridges would crumble, their steel supports rusting away, until one day they collapse into the water below, becoming accidental dams that create new ponds and lakes right in the heart of the city. Beavers, nature's engineers, might find these new urban waterways to be prime real estate. High above it all, the birds would reign. Without the threat of humans, they would nest in the most audacious places. An eagle's eyrie perched atop the spire of a cathedral, a colony of swifts making their home in the cavernous space of an empty sports stadium. The metallic chirps of sparrows would echo through abandoned shopping malls, replacing the music that once played on an endless loop. The soundtrack of the city would be rewritten, a symphony of birdsong, rustling leaves, and the gentle lapping of water. This isn't a story of destruction, but of transformation. It's a peaceful apocalypse, a quiet changing of the guard. The monuments we built to ourselves, the towers of commerce and the temples of entertainment, would become something else entirely. They would become vertical reefs, artificial mountains, homes for 1,000 different species. The Statue of Liberty, her torch extinguished, might become the world's most elaborate bird roost, her green copper patina blending with the moss and lichen that would come to cover her. The iron and steel of our infrastructure would slowly return to the earth. Rust, that slow, silent fire, would consume our bridges, our railways, our cars. They would bleed orange stains onto the ground, a final, fading signature of our industrial age. Eventually, they would collapse into piles of oxidized dust, feeding the very soil that new forests would grow from. Our legacy wouldn't be in the things we built, but in the unique, accelerated ecosystems that would rise from their decay. Think of the sheer resilience of life. In this human-less world, animals once pushed to the brink would thrive. Wolves would hunt in the sprawling parks that were once manicured suburbs. Bears would hibernate in the basements of abandoned homes. The descendants of our pets, gone feral, would adapt and find their place in this new wilderness. The world would become wilder, richer, more diverse. It's a humbling thought, isn't it, that everything we've built, this complex, noisy, magnificent civilization, is so fragile that the world doesn't actually need us to keep spinning. Nature, with its immense patience and unstoppable power, would simply erase us, not with anger, but with the gentle persistence of a growing seed, a flowing river, a drifting grain of sand. This vision isn't meant to be sad or terrifying. It's a reminder of our place in the grand scheme of things. We are a part of nature, not apart from it. The same forces that would reclaim our cities are the forces that sustain us right now. The rain that would erode our buildings is the same rain that waters our crops. The wind that would carry seeds to our rooftops is the same wind that fills our lungs. Perhaps looking at this quiet, green future gives us a new perspective on our present. It encourages us to see the world not just as a resource to be used, but as a living system we are privileged to be a part of. It inspires us to protect the wild places we still have, and maybe even to bring a little more of that wildness back into our lives and our cities. To plant a tree, to create a garden, to simply listen to the birdsong outside our window. Because in the end, the quiet power of nature is the most powerful force of all. It was here long before us, and it will be here long after we are gone, patiently waiting to turn our world back into a garden. Thanks for watching. If this made you think, consider subscribing for more journeys into the what-ifs of our world. See you next time. I'm walking a path that once thrummed with life. It's strange, isn't it, how a place so full of stories can fall so silent. Not long ago, this road was a vital artery, a trade route bustling with merchants, travelers, and dreamers. Carts heavy with goods would creak their way along this very ground, their wheels carving history into the earth. You can almost hear the echoes if you listen closely, the chatter of different languages, the clatter of horse hooves, the hearty laughter of a deal well struck. These routes were the lifelines of communities. They connected villages to cities, bringing in exotic spices, fine textiles, and news from the world beyond the horizon. For the people who lived along these paths, the constant flow of traffic was the rhythm of their lives. It meant prosperity, connection, and a window to a wider world. Now, the only sound is the rustle of leaves and the whisper of the wind through the tall grass that reclaims the edges of the trail. As I continue, I see the ghosts of homes nestled amongst the trees. These aren't grand manors, but humble dwellings where families lived and loved. The stones of their foundations are carpeted in moss, and the empty doorways feel like silent mouths holding back tales of generations. I can picture children playing in the yards, their laughter filling the air. I imagine the smell of wood smoke curling from the chimneys on a crisp evening, and the warm glow of a lamp in the window, a welcome beacon for a weary traveler. These houses weren't just shelters, they were the heart of a community. People gathered, shared meals, celebrated births, and mourned losses within these walls. Each home was a universe of its own, filled with personal histories. Now, they stand as quiet monuments to a time when this forgotten road was the center of their world. It's a powerful reminder that even the most vibrant communities can fade, leaving only faint outlines for us to discover. Scattered in the undergrowth, I find remnants of their daily lives, the forgotten tools of their trade. Here's a rusted piece of a plow, half buried in the soil. This simple object tells a story of hard work, of turning the earth season after season to feed a family. It speaks of a deep connection to the land, a reliance on the cycles of nature. Nearby, I spot a broken shard of pottery, its faded pattern just barely visible. Who drank from this cup? What stories were shared over it? These artifacts are more than just discarded junk. They are tangible links to the past, fragments of 1,000 untold stories. A worn-out leather strap from a horse's harness, a smoothed river stone that might have been a child's toy. Each object is a quiet testament to the hands that held it, the purpose it served, and the life it was a part of. They make the past feel so incredibly close, so real. It's like the people just stepped away for a moment. There's a strange sense of peace in this solitude. Walking here alone isn't lonely. It's contemplative. Without the noise and rush of the modern world, you start to notice the small details, the way the light filters through the canopy, the intricate design of a spider's web, the earthy scent of damp soil. The silence isn't empty. It's full of the steady, quiet pulse of nature. In our constantly connected lives, we rarely experience this kind of profound quiet. Here, there are no notifications, no deadlines, no demands on my attention. There is only the path ahead and the stories embedded in the landscape. It's a chance to disconnect from the chaos and reconnect with something more fundamental, something ancient and enduring. This calming solitude allows your mind to wander, to ponder the passage of time and your own small place within its grand sweep. This journey along a lost trade route is more than just a hike through the woods. It's a walk through history. It's a meditation on what we build, what we leave behind, and what endures. The people who lived and worked here are long gone, their voices faded into memory. But their legacy isn't entirely lost. It lives on in the worn stones of the path, in the foundations of their homes, and in the forgotten objects they left behind. They remind us that our bustling modern world, with its superhighways and fiber optic cables, is just the latest chapter in a long story of human connection. The fundamental need to trade, to travel, to build communities that hasn't changed. The methods have evolved, but the impulse is the same. These silent roads are a testament to that timeless human spirit. As I trace my way back, the sounds of the present world slowly begin to return, but the quiet of the lost road stays with me. It's a reminder of the layers of history that exist all around us, often just out of sight. It encourages me to look a little closer, to listen a little more carefully to the silent stories the world has to tell. What forgotten paths are near you? What stories are waiting to be discovered just off the beaten track? Sometimes the most profound journeys are the ones we take into the quiet places, where the past whispers to those who are willing to listen. Thanks for joining me on this walk through time. If you enjoyed this journey, consider subscribing to explore more hidden histories with me. Until next time, keep wandering. Have you ever wondered what would happen to our world if one day we all just vanished? Imagine a silent earth where the hum of cities fades into the whisper of the wind. What stories would remain? What echoes of our existence would linger for whatever comes next? For the first 2 minutes, let's explore this quiet, post-human world together. Picture this: our grand skyscrapers, once symbols of our ambition, slowly surrendering to nature. Ivy would creep up their glass facades, and wildflowers would bloom in the cracks of our once busy highways. The concrete jungles would become real jungles. But it's not just about decay, it's about what endures. Deep within these modern ruins, our art would survive. A sculpture in a reclaimed plaza, its bronze skin weathered, but its form still speaking of the hands that shaped it. Murals on brick walls, their vibrant colors fading, but their stories still visible to a curious eye. These aren't just objects, they are the last vestiges of our creativity, our need to make sense of the world and our place in it. They are silent testaments to our joys, our sorrows, our dreams. The steel and stone might crumble, but the ideas they embody, the spark of human imagination, would hold on, perhaps for millennia. Think of the cave paintings of our ancient ancestors' simple outlines on a rock wall that have told a story for over 40,000 years. Our art would be no different, a scattered gallery waiting for a new audience. And what about our words? In the quiet halls of libraries and archives, our books would wait. Paper is fragile, yes, but many would survive in dry, protected spaces. Imagine a future explorer stumbling upon a dusty copy of a classic novel. They wouldn't know our language, our context, our history, but through the patterns of ink on a page, they might sense the rhythm of a poem, the structure of a story. Our writing is our most direct form of communication across time. It's how we passed down knowledge, debated philosophies, and confessed our deepest feelings. Every grocery list, every diary entry, every epic poem is a piece of the human puzzle. The grand narratives of our civilizations and the intimate whispers of individual lives, all preserved, waiting to be deciphered. They would discover our myths, our sciences, our laws, our loves. These texts would be the Rosetta Stones for understanding who we were, a species that lived, dreamed, and desperately tried to leave a mark. Let's step into a museum, but not one you've ever visited. This museum is the entire planet. Every object left behind tells a part of our story. A child's worn teddy bear in an abandoned bedroom speaks of love and comfort. A set of tools on a workbench speaks of ingenuity and the desire to build. A coffee mug left on a desk hints at our daily rituals, the small, quiet moments that made up a life. These aren't grand monuments. They are the humble artifacts of everyday existence, and in many ways, they are the most powerful relics of all. They paint a picture, not of kings and empires, but of ordinary people. They show how we cared for one another, how we worked, how we played. The grand story of humanity isn't just written in history books, it's etched into the very objects we created and used every single day. This planetary museum would be a silent, poignant exhibition of a species defined by its relationships, its routines, and its endless creativity. But perhaps the most profound legacy we'd leave behind isn't something you can touch or see. It's the lessons embedded in the very fabric of the planet we altered. The scars on the landscape, the mines, the quarries, the deforested landswood tell a cautionary tale of consumption and consequence. But alongside them, there would be other stories. The reforested areas, the national parks we set aside, the species we pulled back from the brink of extinction. These would speak of our capacity for foresight, for care, for redemption. Future observers might learn from our mistakes and our successes. They might see the delicate balance we struggled to maintain with our environment. Our absence would allow the planet to heal, and that healing process itself would be a testament to our impact. The Earth's recovery would be the final chapter of our story, a lesson written in ecosystems and geological time. It would be a story of a powerful, intelligent, and deeply flawed species that ultimately, in its vanishing, gave the world a chance to begin anew. So, as we walk through this imaginary world without us, we see that it's not empty. It's filled with the ghosts of our civilization. It's in the curve of a forgotten statue, the ink of a preserved book, the design of a simple tool, and the very air the planet breathes. These aren't just ruins. They are messages in a bottle, cast into the ocean of time. They are the echoes of our laughter, the whispers of our stories, and the legacy of our brief, brilliant, and complicated moment on this small blue dot. What survives is more than just stone and steel. It's the essence of our humanity. It's the art, the knowledge, and the hard-won lessons we learned along the way. Our story wouldn't end with our disappearance. In many ways, it would just be beginning, waiting for a new reader to turn the page. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That our greatest legacy might be the quiet wisdom we leave for a world we'll never see. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this reflection, consider subscribing for more explorations into the big questions. Have you ever stood in an old city, closed your eyes, and just listened? Not to the traffic or the chatter of tourists, but to something deeper, something quieter. It's a whisper on the wind, a faint echo that seems to travel across centuries. This is history, and it doesn't just live in textbooks. It speaks to us if we're willing to listen. You can feel it in the cobblestones under your feet, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. You can see it in the curve of an ancient archway, a silent testament to the hands that built it. It's the ghost of a forgotten melody, the shadow of a long-gone empire. These whispers are everywhere. They are the faint echoes of culture that have shaped the very world we live in. Think about the language you speak. Every word is a tiny time capsule, carrying stories of trade, conquest, and migration. The legal systems that govern our societies. They are built upon foundations laid down by Roman praetors and Athenian philosophers. The buildings we admire, the art that moves us, even the food we eat, all of it is layered with the influence of the past. It's a subtle but powerful force, a current that runs beneath the surface of our daily lives. For the next few minutes, let's tune our ears to these whispers. Let us explore how the faint echoes of history have not only built our world, but continue to shape our present and future in ways we rarely even notice. So, where do we begin our journey? Let's start with the most fundamental tool we possess: language. Every time we speak, we are participating in a conversation that started thousands of years ago. Take English, for example. It's a beautiful, chaotic tapestry woven from threads of Anglo-Saxon, Norman French, Latin, and Greek, with countless other strands added over time. When you say the word beef, you're using the French term for the meat, because the Norman lords were the ones eating it. But the farmer who raised the animal called it a cow, an old Anglo-Saxon word. This linguistic divide tells a story of social class and conquest from nearly 1,000 years ago, embedded right into our dinner vocabulary. It's not just about individual words. The very structure of our sentences, the grammar we learn in school, is a blueprint passed down through generations. The rhythm of a Shakespearean sonnet and the slang of a modern teenager are connected by an invisible thread. Think about idioms. When you say someone spilled the beans, you're unknowingly referencing an ancient Greek method of secret voting using beans. The phrase has outlived the practice by millennia. Language is a living museum, and each of us is a curator every time we open our mouths. The whispers of history aren't just in the words themselves, but in the silences between them, in the accents that reveal our origins, and in the new words we create to describe our ever-changing world. Now let's turn our attention from our words to our walls. Architecture is perhaps the most visible and enduring whisper of history. A building is more than just shelter. It's a statement. It's a story told in stone, brick, and glass. Walk through any major European city, and you're walking through a physical timeline. You'll see the formidable strength of a Roman aqueduct, its arches still standing as a marvel of engineering, whispering tales of an empire that valued order, power, and public works above all else. A few streets over, you might find a Gothic cathedral, its spires reaching for the heavens, a testament to an age of faith where communities poured their collective wealth and soul into creating something that would touch the divine. The soaring ceilings and stained glass windows were designed to inspire awe, to make you feel small in the presence of God. If you've ever voted in an election, served on a jury, or debated a political idea, you are participating in a tradition that has its roots in ancient Athens. The very concept of democracy, rule by the people, was a radical experiment that continues to echo through the ages. The debates that Plato recorded about justice, equality, and the responsibilities of a citizen are the same fundamental questions we grapple with today. The whisper of the Greek agora can be heard in every town hall meeting and parliamentary session around the world. Then there's the immense influence of Rome. The Roman legal system was built on principles of logic, evidence, and written codes. Concepts like innocent until proven guilty and the idea of a universal law that applies to all citizens are direct descendants of Roman jurisprudence. When a lawyer cites a precedent or a judge consults a legal text, they are following a methodology perfected by Roman jurists 2,000 years ago. The architecture of our legal systems, with its courts, appeals, and formal procedures, is a Roman blueprint. These aren't just dusty historical facts. They are the living, breathing framework that ensures order, protects rights, and seeks to deliver justice in our daily lives. The stability we often take for granted rests on these ancient foundations, a constant low hum of Roman reason beneath the noise of modern life. And what about the realm of the heart and mind? Our art, our music, our stories, these are the most intimate whispers of history. When a painter picks up a brush, they are not starting with a blank canvas. They are influenced, consciously or not, by everyone from the cave painters of Lascaux to the Impressionists of Paris to the pop artists of New York. The Renaissance masters rediscovered the classical ideals of proportion and realism. Their work, a conversation with the ancient sculptors of Greece and Rome. Later, modern artists would shatter those very conventions, their abstract forms, a rebellion against tradition, but a rebellion that only has meaning because of the tradition it's reacting to. Each brushstroke is part of an ongoing dialogue across time. The same is true for music. The scales and harmonies that sound pleasing to our ears are a cultural inheritance. The structure of a pop song verse, chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus can be traced back through centuries of folk songs and classical forms. The blues, born from the pain and resilience of African Americans in the Deep South, gave birth to jazz, rock and roll, and hip-hop. Its whisper of sorrow and hope can be heard in the guitar riff of a rock anthem and the rhythm of a rap verse. Our stories, too, follow ancient patterns. The hero's journey, the tale of star-crossed lovers, the tragic fall from grace. These archetypes appear in ancient myths, Shakespearean plays, and Hollywood blockbusters. They resonate with us because they speak to fundamental human experiences that transcend time. Art is history's emotional language, allowing us to feel the joy, sorrow, and wonder of those who came before us. So, why does any of this matter? Why should we spend our time listening for these faint echoes? Because understanding where we come from is essential to understanding who we are and where we are going. These whispers of history are not just trivia. They are the context for our lives. They show us that our current challenges, political division, social change, technological disruption, are not entirely new. History offers a vast library of human experience, of successes and failures that can provide perspective and, sometimes, wisdom. It teaches us humility, reminding us that we are just one small part of a much larger story. It also fosters empathy, allowing us to connect with the struggles and triumphs of people who lived in vastly different worlds but shared the same fundamental human nature. By listening to these whispers, we also become more engaged and thoughtful citizens of our own time. It connects us to something larger than ourselves, a continuous human story that we are all a part of. We are not just living in the present. We are living in a present that is profoundly shaped and enriched by a chorus of voices from the past. All we have to do is learn to listen. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If you enjoyed this reflection, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more explorations into the stories that surround us. See you next time. As our journey through the echoes of time draws to a close, let's take a moment. Feel the gentle pull of the present, the quiet space you're in right now. The stories of these lost civilizations, of cities reclaimed by sand and jungle, aren't just tales of what was. They are soft whispers carried on the wind, speaking directly to us, here, today. For 2 minutes, let's just breathe. Inhale slowly, and as you exhale, imagine the bustling markets of Pompeii, the grand libraries of Alexandria, the terraced gardens of Babylon. Feel the energy, the life that once thrived there. These were not just places on a map. They were homes filled with people who loved, dreamed, and worried just like we do. They built incredible things, reached for the stars in their own ways, and left behind legacies that have shaped our world in ways we often don't even realize. Their triumphs and their falls are woven into the very fabric of our modern lives. Now, gently bring your awareness back to your own breath, to the rise and fall of your chest. The silence that eventually fell over those ancient streets doesn't have to be a symbol of failure or loss. Instead, think of it as a return to nature, a peaceful surrender. The vine-covered temples and the desert-swept ruins remind us of a powerful truth. Everything is part of a grander cycle. What seems like an end is often just a transformation, a changing of form. The earth reclaims, yes, but it also preserves. It holds these stories for us to find, to learn from. We see their ingenuity in the bridges we cross and the aqueducts that inspire our own water systems. We hear their philosophies in the debates we have today about justice, society, and meaning. We feel their artistry in the museums we visit and the stories we tell our children. They showed us the incredible heights humanity can reach when we work together, when we are driven by curiosity and a desire to build something that lasts. They built monuments to their gods, to their kings, and to their own ambition. But they also offer us a gentle warning. They remind us of the fragility of even the mightiest empires. A shift in climate, a change in trade routes, a social fabric that frays these are not just ancient problems. They are human problems. The lessons are clear. The importance of balance with our environment, the need for societies that are resilient and adaptable, and the danger of forgetting that we are all connected, not just to each other, but to the planet that sustains us. Think about the everyday marvels we take for granted: the clean water from our taps, the light at the flick of a switch, the ability to connect with someone across the world in an instant. These are the legacies of thousands of years of human effort, of lessons learned, often the hard way, by those who came before. Every choice we make today, from how we treat our neighbors to how we care for our world, is a brick we lay in the foundation of tomorrow's civilization. We are the ancestors of the future. What will they say about us? Will they marvel at our technological wonders, but wonder why we struggled to find peace? Will they see the beauty we created and the connections we forged? The stories of the past teach us that our character, our compassion, and our wisdom are the most enduring monuments we can ever hope to build. Technology changes, empires rise and fall, but the human heart and its capacity for kindness and creativity remains a constant. Let this knowledge bring you a sense of profound peace. We are not separate from this grand, sprawling story of humanity. We are a vital part of it. The challenges we face today are not unique. They are echoes of the past, calling on us to respond with greater wisdom and a deeper sense of unity. There is so much hope in that. Hope that we can learn. Hope that we can do better. Hope that we can build a future that honors the best of our past while avoiding the mistakes. As you drift now, let go of the day's worries. Let them dissolve like ancient cities into the sands of time. Feel a sense of connection to all the souls who have walked this earth, who have gazed at the same moon and stars. They too felt joy and sorrow and hope. Their energy is part of the collective story, and so is yours. You are a thread in a magnificent, unending tapestry. The silence that is coming is not empty. It is filled with potential. It is the fertile ground from which new ideas, new dreams, and new dawns will rise. Just as nature gently reclaimed the cities of old, let a gentle peace reclaim your mind. Let it be a quiet, restorative, and hopeful space. The sun will rise again tomorrow on our world, just as it rose on theirs. And with it comes a new day, a new chance to live, to love, and to build. Sleep now, with a heart full of peace and a mind at rest. Know that you are part of something vast, beautiful, and eternal. The story continues, and your part in it is important. Rest well and dream of the worlds we can build together. Good night.